All right, welcome back to Stock Tricks with Nick for this week's Midweek Movers live stream. If you guys are joining for the first time, my name is Nick. Today I'll be going over a market review, just taking a look at the S&P 500, Nasdaq, some growth ETFs, stuff like that. Take a look at some stocks that I'm currently trading, how they're holding up, and then a list of 10 stocks that I have going into the second half of the week that I am going to be setting alerts for. Kind of like some trade ideas with those, just the best setups that I see going into the week. And then after that, in the second half of the video, we'll be going over any stocks that you guys want to see. So if you're joining the live stream, you guys can use the chat and just drop any charts or any stock requests that you want to see, and we'll go over as many as we can get in an hour. So we'll start at 7, end at around 8 Central Time, and get through as many charts as we can get. Let me join, let's see. Here we go. All right, so first we'll start with the S&P 500. Looking at that, made a new high today, higher highs, higher lows. This is a very, very favorable market that we're in right now, so definitely want to be kind of taking some risk on. Ideally, you would have taken the risk on when we had this follow-through day on the 14th here, as many of the leaders got out on that day, started pushing higher. But I mean, strong uptrend. If we can continue this into the last 2 months of the year, we could close off the year very, very strong. Taking a look at the Nasdaq Qqq, same thing, higher highs, higher lows, new all-time high. This looked very dangerous, but then we did get that gap up on higher volume. That was our follow-through day on the 14th. That's when I actually started putting on a little bit of exposure on the 13th with AEHR and a couple other names. I forget which ones, but AEHR was the first one to really break out for me. And since then, have had really good success swing trading some of the growth names, trying to get into the leading stocks, and this is exactly the uptrend that you make money on. Taking a look at IWO, this is the Russell's 2000 growth ETF, and if you've been to the live streams before, we take a look at this every time. This really shows you as a breakout trader, as that's what I am myself, how difficult it has been since like February up until just recently. It started getting a lot easier in the market, and we wanted to take advantage of that. But 2020, obviously, very strong uptrend, very easy year to trade in. And then we have, here we go. In December or January 1st, we had the first 6 weeks or so, very strong, very easy trading environment. And then after that, growth stocks flushed, and then really just choppy for February until now. So 8 months or so, pretty difficult trading environment for breakout traders. But finally, just as it looked like it was rolling to the downside and going to roll the opposite way, we got a move up, a quick check back, and really strong move on Monday. And honestly, a really good candle today, closing in the upper half of the candle on Monday. Let's take a look at IWM. I know a lot of people look at IWM as well. This is Russell's 2000 ETF, not focused on growth names, so I always use the IWO because I'm trying to swing trade growth stocks. But if IWM wants to break out of an 8-month base, that just fuels more fuel for the fire with the market. So honestly, really strong market action. S&P 500, new highs. Nasdaq, new highs. And then those get carried by the Google, NVIDIA, Tesla, those very large caps. But if you're not trading some of the large caps and you're not just buying and holding those, you've had a pretty rough trading environment since February. So for those stocks the growth stocks that were kind of in a bear market since February, we're now starting to break out of this base and looking to keeping aggressive as long as stocks aren't breaking through my stops. I'm not getting stopped out of more names than are holding up. To quick look at ARKK, ARK. This is still kind of getting out of this base, not as strong, but building the right side here. Good day Monday, check back a little bit today. I think, I don't want to say. I know they have a large position in Tesla. I know they're kind of like whittling that down a little bit, but let's take a look at Tesla, because that was another name that I wanted to cover. This is a very, very strong move. And it started off pretty quiet. Like Tesla was up 45% from the low in its base until it really started taking off. And then probably this is shorts covering, and then people shorting at this new high, having to cover. So I don't want to short a name in a hyperbolic move like that, or parabolic move like that, because you don't know how high it can go. It does look extended. I'm not buying the name right here, anything like that. But as it was starting to work up the right side of the base here and moving into new highs, that was a signal to start getting a little bit of aggressive as well. So I know with my thumbnail, wanted to cover Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, but some of the crypto themed stocks, because that has been really what's holding up my portfolio the last 2 days, or not holding it up, but pushing it higher. Coin has been a main focus of mine. Got in as we took out the high here, then we pulled back, added right at the open on this day, and then added even a little bit more on Monday as we broke over Friday's high. Now I did take off the piece that I added, I don't know, somewhere through this wick today. So taking some profit. My stop is at the low of this candle. Stops at the low here under the 8-day exponential moving average. You can see we have earnings coming up here on the 9th. So unless I have a 10% profit on each piece that I add, I don't want to be holding into earnings, because I'm guessing earnings are going to be good, but that's just me. That's just a guess. And the fact that it's already run up, let's see, it's already run up 54% going into earnings. Earnings are going to have to be phenomenal to push this higher. And chances are it's not going to like gap higher and go. Chances. Maybe it does. Who knows? But if we can get a kind of a strong earnings, and then that was baked into the price, we pull back a little bit, another position to add. But tons of volume coming in through the right side of the base here, institutions gaining positions and really showing market leadership coming up the right side here. That's Coin. SI was another one that I traded. I put this on Friday actually. So zooming out, really strong base here. I think this is about 6 months from April. Moved up here. I didn't catch any of this move. We tightened up. I think I tried trading it like a swing trade through here, but a reverse stopped me out pretty much right away. On earnings, we pulled back. So maybe this is something that happens to Coinbase. We had a very strong move. Let's see, I think this was like 50%, 72%, 70% move. And then we gapped down on earnings. I think earnings were decent. We'll check that in a second. But then we maintained that 20-day simple moving average. Buyers were stepping in. And then I bought this on Friday, this candle, as it held up the 8. It held the 8 and the 20-day simple moving average. No. Here we go, on Friday. As we broke over Thursday's high, as it held the 8 and the 20-day. Squatted that day, didn't do anything too wrong. And then Monday, we got giant volume, giant candle. Great continuation today. Higher highs, higher lows. I have taken, I want to say about 50% of the position off here. And then if it flags out, gives me another entry point. This kind of volume, coming up the right side of the base and breaking out to new highs. All things that is showing market leadership, and I want to have money in the name. But this looks great. And finally, MARA. This is the third kind of crypto-ish holding that I put on. I put this trade on Monday as I saw SI breakout on SI broke out on Monday, but that was setting up as well. Nice move up the right side of the base, 80% move. Check back to the 8-day, bounce. Check back to the 8-day. Price started to tighten up. Volume started to lighten up, and then just with the break over Friday's high was my entry point, and then got out, squatted a little bit, and then good follow through today, up 14%. Similar, I haven't taken as much off this one, maybe only a quarter of my position. Stops above even, so it's a profitable trade. If it comes back on me, I'm not losing money. And that's what you need to do in an environment like this. With very, very strong trading right now, move those stops up to even or even in the money. So if we do get a pullback, you're not giving away all of your gains in taking losses. It's fine to be aggressive. Like something that I've been doing lately is taking very large positions, but with like 1% stop, because this is a very healthy market, very strong market. Chances are It might not be a 50-50 chance, but even if it's a 40% success rate, if I could take a 1% stop on a very strong name like MARA, I could put a large position on and still manage my risk that way. So as the market has been very strong, I've been narrowing my stop loss, increasing my position size, and then trying to go for some like quicker hits, quicker entry points to get moves like this. So those were the three crypto names that I wanted to cover. I got 10 stocks that we'll look at now. These are all names that I'll be looking at going into the second half of the week here. I'm already 100% invested, so unless I get stopped out of a name, chances are I'm not going to be taking any of these trades, but we'll see how they work out. And one of them, let's see, two of them I do have positions in already, looking to add it if they give a good entry. All right, so first is APP. This has got a group strength rating of A+, an A accumulation distribution rating, so larger volume days on up days versus down days. That shows accumulation versus distribution on the chart. Really strong, 94 relative strength rating. Let's see, in the group, it is the 6th strongest relative strength out of 44 stocks, 12th on a composite. Let's see, composite rated is 81, a little bit on the low end. This does have earnings in 8 days, so depending on your risk tolerance, what you do with earnings. If a stock has earnings in like 3 days, I don't trade it. But with 8 days to go, I might trade it, but then cut the position down and take it completely off if it doesn't go up 10%, hit that kind of risk that I'm looking at. But this is right around 100. We have 2 wicks up here. I'll jump to the chart in a second. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Earnings have been negative up until the June quarter. That was 167% year over year. Sales up 46, 83, 132, 123. So very strong sales year over year. And then after-tax profit margin, negative, negative, negative. And then we finally turned positive compared to last year, up 2.2%. Fund ownership has been steady, 115 in September. But in October, we did get some good volume as we broke out through here. So chances are that's going to be increasing once we get to December. Nope. All right, let's take a look at the chart. So this did get pretty extended here, 36% or so. Had this gap down day that immediately got bought up, and that showed just how aggressive buyers were being in the market and in the stock. So great sign when you gap down and then close. This was still a down day slightly. I think it was down 1%, something like that. But really strong next day, inside candle, but staying above that 8-day exponential moving average. We got out a little bit, and then today we had an inside candle, and I'm just looking for probably a break over today's high, because that would push us over $100. That would be 101. At that $100 range, there is a lot of trading back and forth. So if we can kind of push through that area and move on to the next 100, that would be a possible entry point. But this is a good example of a stock that maybe you can get a 1% stop, 2% stop, because it already is a little bit extended. Let's see, 2% from the 8-day exponential, 7% from the 20-day. So not crazy extended, but this is one where if you could get a 2% stop and then just play it for a stronger breakout, that is kind of what I'm looking for. Once we have like one of the VCP setups, like a volatility contraction pattern, one of your like more traditional setups, that's when I would use a larger stop, keep my position sizing normal. But if a stock's kind of already extended but showing great strength, I'm going to be using smaller stops and trying to roll the dice there. Because if I'm wrong small, and I'd rather be wrong small multiple times trying to trade market leaders like this than take a setup in a random name that is not super strong. All right, let's go ASO. All right, this one has got a group strength rating, a B-. This is Academy Sports and Outdoors. Within that group, it is the 4th strongest on a relative strength basis out of 14 and 2nd on a composite. We have got a relative strength rating of 96 and a composite rating of 95. When those two are both in the 90s, I usually take note. Let's see. Does not have earnings anytime soon, estimated for December 10th, so that's good. Let's see, earnings plus 187, 354, over 1,019. Sales 18, 17, 39, and 12. After-tax profit margins, all positive, good things there. Fund ownership increasing from 113 to 378. Let's go to the chart. I am on the chart. All right, so this one, a little bit more of that traditional pattern. You had a pullback from high to low, 19%. Second pullback here from high to low, 8%. We got the 28 and the 8, 20, and 50-day moving average all around the same price within 2.5% of each other. If this pulls down again, that would improve the trade as we break to the upside in this, like, say Thursday or Friday. Like if tomorrow's an inside day under this candle's high, that would improve the trade for Thursday or Friday. But looking for a break over 44.14 as a potential entry point, break over today's high on that. I don't love the lower volume today versus yesterday's kind of wilder candle. If we can tighten up the price range, that would be better for ASO. Next we have BRLT, Brilliant Earth. So this is one that has not been a market leader. It's an IPO. So usually with these, I trade with very light position sizing because it hasn't proven itself just yet. But tons of volume on the IPO date. It has earnings in 10 days, something to watch for, but it's in a strong group. Retail jewelry, which is an A- group strength rating. Doesn't have accumulation rating just because it IPO'd so early. Yeah, same with relative strength. I don't even think they added this to the group yet because it shows 8 out of 7. And earnings on the 12th on this one. So a little bit aggressive to put on the list, but a lot of the stocks that I was looking at, a lot of the market leaders are already kind of extended from bases or buy points. And this one had a clean pivot to work with, so that's why I put it on there. We got 2 daily highs right around the same price. Nice breakout off the lows here yesterday on increased volume. And then today, pushed down a little bit, but stayed above the 8 and the 20, and then closed. Oh, this is showing the after hour price. I hate when it does that. Let's see, what did it close at? 1305. Right through there. Let me just take this off the list. Not worth talking about. Sorry. All right. Next we have Bros, Dutch Bros Coffee. I horribly mishandled this trade earlier, and it gave me another entry point. So wanted to talk about it today. This is a coffee shop that I have one like right next to the apartment. The line is constant, like 20 cars at like 8 or 9 p.m. I don't understand it. I went, the coffee's okay, very expensive, but something's going on with this brand. People love it out here. So it's something that I could do some due diligence, see the customers coming in, and that gave me a little bit more conviction in the name. But it also set up and I could manage my risk. So I'm not just buying a stock because I have conviction in the company. I also want the chart to line up, the fundamentals to line up. That just improves the probability of the trade. So with Dutch Bros, B+ group strength rating, 82 composite rating, doesn't have accumulation distribution just yet. Let's see. Within the group, it's the number 1 on a relative strength because it's got that 99 relative strength. It's been a monster stock lately. And then 4 out of 51 on a composite basis. Earnings, we got 33, NA, and then plus 250 year over year. Sales up 33, 49, 49, 53. After-tax margin, still kind of figuring itself out. Does have earnings in 8 days, so keep that in mind. And we only have 1 quarter of fund ownership to work with. Going to the chart, Burrows. All right, so how did I horribly mishandle this? This was a name that I didn't get into until we closed this day. There was a nice, like, on the 15-minute candle, which I like to use for IPOs, a nice pullback day here, and it was still a green day, but pulled back from the high, allowed me to enter basically right at the open on this day. Had some add spots and then sold some into strength. But then on this day, when we broke out, made a new high, I was like, all right, here we go. We're going to be running again. But then no, it reversed. It was up, let me see. It was up like 10% on the day. Yeah, 9.3% from the previous day's close. And then it squatted. And after that, I was like, okay, I'm up, where was it? I'm up 28% on the final piece. This looks like it's kind of getting extended, kind of a false breakout, maybe reversal. And it was extended from the, let me draw that again. It was extended from the 8-day by 5%, extended by the 20-day by 18%. So I took the trade off here, and then that in itself wasn't bad. I probably would do that again, but what I didn't do was re-enter when we broke through this downtrend line the next day, and we were doing so on higher volume, so should have put the trade on there. It got out 16% from that potential buy point. And then we finally did get this extension, reversal lower. And then today I took this trade back on as let's zoom into the 10-day, 15-minute candle. So as it was coming down here, it was a name on my watch list, a name that I had success trading before, something that I wanted to keep an eye on if it did give me another re-entry point. And we pull back down to the previous breakout point. I think, yeah, we didn't quite undercut it. That would have been ideal. But then when we had these two 15-minute candles right around the same price, the daily highs, I bought with a break over that. And now I'm up, I don't know, 1%? Yeah, 1% on the name with the new add position. So this gave me an entry point. It's been a strong IPO name that I felt bad about taking off after it squatted here and then ran 16%. And then I just have my stop at the low of the day here. So if it stops me out, that's 3% from there. But if it stops me out, it's a 2% risk. And I'll take a 2% risk over and over because I don't have to be 50-50, like a 50-50 win rate with a 2% stop to be profitable, because my average gain is 2-3. In October, it was 3 times my average loss. So you don't need a 50-50 win rate when your wins are much, much larger than your losses. So if you keep your stop at 2 and your average gain is 6% on a trade, if you're trading 50-50 win rate, you're doing very, very well. So that's how I traded this. It's still set up. It pulled back a little bit, got quiet. So it is going to give like another entry point, maybe on this downtrend line. Maybe we get confluence of indicators where we break both a downtrend line. So say we get like 15 minutes through here and then move up. You have a flat top entry as a possible entry point, and then the downtrend line, those will both converge at some point. That just is two systems buying at the same price. So it increases the buying supply and increases the probability of the trade working out for you. If it goes through both of those and then it doesn't break out, that's usually a sign that I'll take some of the trade off, take some risks down, because if that's an ideal buy point for two systems and they're not buying it, just a warning sign. All right, that was Dutch Bros. Let's go. Come on, there we go. What else we got? Docusign, kind of a funky chart. Posted this on Twitter yesterday, but it's got super strong earnings, 99 earnings rating. A+ group strength, it's 12 out of 197 in computer software. Accumulation distributions on the lower end with a B-, but overall composite rating of 98, very strong. Relative strengths on the weaker end, 72, but still in the top half of relative strength in the group, and number 7 out of 114 on a composite basis. Fund ownership has been increasing, let's see, 1362 last September to 1705 this September. And then taking a look at earnings, you have plus 100, plus 208, plus 267, plus 176 all year over year. Triple digits earnings per share, that's very strong. Obviously, sales up 53, 57, 58, and 50. And after-tax profit margins increasing as well. So fundamentally, very strong stock. Now we just need to pair that with a good chart. And we can find a entry point to manage risk against. So this saved my drawing from yesterday. That's cool. So yeah, looking at, come on, let's do, there we go. So Docusign had an awesome 2020 and then just went through kind of a very like wacky base, undercut that, got earnings, and then exploded higher. And one thing that I wanted to cover here, there's a lot of lines, got to cancel these out. On earnings, there's an unfilled gap here. We gapped up and pushed higher on very, very heavy volume. So that's something that I'm really starting to trade around is these power earning gaps. I did so with Enphase, ENPH. This would have been a nice trade to take as it comes through here, has a 2-day pivot, and then breaks out, does it again, gave a lot of good entry points in here. Since then, we peaked, let's see, in July, and then pulled back. I want to say this was like 20-something percent, 23% from the peak, which isn't crazy for growth stocks. We've bounced, we pulled back again, had this really nice shakeout day where we gapped down, pushed lower to the 20-day moving average. Buyers stepped in right at that price, pushed it higher, and then price tightened up after that breakout failure. So we had a false breakout of the downtrend line of the pivot, reversed lower, gap down, pushed lower, found buyers, everything got quiet. And today could have been a possible entry point. I did not take the trade myself. It was on my watch list, but didn't take it myself. Still setting up just for a possible entry over yesterday or today's high, 282.48. Maybe a stop at the low there, 2.1%. Stop under yesterday's low, 3%. Either of those, 2 or 3%, you can manage risk well. All right, let's go. Got 5 more for you. If you guys have any chart requests, drop them in the comment section. We'll get to as many as we can. I see Joe got some on there that we'll cover. Next is MQ. This is a stock that I got stopped out today on, but just because I get stopped out, again, if I get stopped out on a 2% stop, I could take that trade again, and if it stops me out again at 2%, that's just still a 4% stop, and with a powerful name, I'm willing to give it a couple tries before getting it right. All right, this is in credit card payments processing, which is B+, group strength rating, 57 out of 197. Within the group, it's 14th on a relative strength basis because it's an IPO, 5th strongest on an accumulation, and right in the middle, 21 out of 40 on a composite basis. Does have earnings in 8 days, so keep an eye on that. A- accumulation, because we have these big volume bars as this breaks out, pulls back, and starts to tighten up a little bit in here. Let's jump to the chart. MQ. Yeah, so this is one that I think, here, let me do some quick measuring. So really strong move up, 90% whatever, squatted. I wouldn't call that a squat. 22% pullback from there, sellers taking their let's see, 13 trading days, so 3 weeks, 90%. Yeah, I'd sell some into that too. Pulled back, never even touched the 8-day exponential moving average. Moved higher yesterday, opened even higher today. I did take some off, so it wasn't a full stop or anything on this trade, but then pushed lower. Let's drill down to a 15-minute chart. So if we ignore the open, this is the opening candle where we opened and then immediately seller stepped in. I was a little bit of that, so I didn't move this down. I don't have a large enough account to do that. But I could see why people were taking some profit if they got in lower here or through this pivot point there. But that pulled back, and then buyers stepped in and made a higher low. So we have our low here, higher low, even higher low. So good thing to keep an eye on, and good volume coming in as we close the day strong. Right near a potential pivot point, if you're willing to play those, what's it called, smaller time frames, and for IPOs, I would definitely recommend drilling down into smaller time frames because they tend to work much quicker than more established stocks. So I'll be looking for a break over 32.69 as a potential buy point on this. And again, it ran 90-something%, 88%, whatever, 13 trading days. It does have earnings coming up on November 10th. So keep that in mind and keep your stops tight. But this is one where it's hard to keep your stops tight because it's kind of all over the place. So if it trades tighter for another day, that would be ideal because this is a pretty loose chart, but a very powerful one that I want to throw on your radar. MQ. Next we have ONON. This is a stock that I do own, full disclosure. Group strength B-. I I don't know if it's a running shoe. I know they make running shoes, but I think they're more just like retail shoes. Doesn't have accumulation distribution. Composite rating 67, doesn't really have the data just yet. Relative strength 39 because it is an IPO. And we only have 1/4 of fund ownership to work with. But taking a look at earnings, we're plus 200, NA and NA. Sales up 108, 108, 89, 89. And after-tax profit margin, I feel like these are not right because they look double. I'll look into that later, but all right. So ON, wait, let me find the, yeah, average daily volume is still 1 million. So this is one, good volume on the first day, pushed out a little bit, pulled back, broke out, checked back, and this is the trade that I put on, downtrend line, and then just breaking over the previous day's high. So on Monday, I put this on basically right at the open. Worked out pretty well, plus 6% on that day. Sold some into strength, but then, I mean, this candle, very, very light volume. It closed in maybe the top half, basically the top half of the previous candle. So the higher we stay in that breakout candle, the better I like it. Just shows you that not many people are trying to sell down a move like that after a 6% move. So if we can go to the 10-minute, this did dump a little bit at the end of the day, but still on lighter volume, nothing crazy. And not a super clean entry point to work with just yet. But if we take out the high, that could be an entry point. Let me jump back to the 10-day. Yeah, because of this last 15 minutes or last 45 minutes of the day, maybe we need to base out a little bit and get going. But I haven't heard anyone else on like StockTwits or FinTwit like talking about this name, and it's got really good up volume versus down volume after this sell-off, after the initial sell-off here, and really light volume on the pullback today, 3.2%. So that's ON. Next we have PERI. This is a name that I traded today and got stopped out. No hard feelings though, because if it sets up again, I would love to take the trade. A- group strength rating, A- accumulation distribution, 97 composite rating, and 98 relative strength. I'll attempt to trade that multiple times and be fine with multiple losers if I can't get it right. Because those are the names that you should be trying a couple times over. This is the strongest stock in its group in earnings per share, relative strength, accumulation, composite, basically everything. It did have earnings already, so that was that power earnings gap. Tons of volume coming in here. Very strong close on that earnings day. Had 2 days where it tightened up. And I was looking at this. I put this on the breakout watchlist video that I posted on Sunday, but it gapped up. I didn't chase it up here. It pulled back and then gave me a nice entry point today against the low of the day. I think it was a 1% stop. We'll cover that in a second, but really good chart there. Take a look at fund ownership, starting to increase, going from 28 to 76. When you have a composite rating of 98, funds start to take a look at you. So let's go to the chart, PERI. Yeah, how much was this up on earnings? So we gapped up 12%, pushed higher, 31%, massive. I didn't take this trade on the day, kind of kicking myself, but I mean, there's hundreds of stocks you got to be tuned into, just a couple for the day. And then it gapped up, ran a little bit, squatted, reversed. Let's take a look at the 15-minute candle. Where was this today? 10-2. So this candle, let's jump to the 5-minute. Because I took this basically right at the open. So we put in this 5-minute candle, huge sell-off, little bounce back, and I didn't buy it immediately on this bounce. We sold off again, and then once we took off this 10-minute high area, that's where I bought with a stop at the low of the day, 2.7%. I think my stop was tighter than that. I'll have to check, but that's kind of what I was looking at. We made a low, didn't break that low, and then pushed higher through that area. Even when it pulled back, it didn't break the low, bounced again, and then just rolled over. And once it took out the low, I got stopped out. But now we've closed this gap. We're basing out here, and potential trade through this pivot right through here. 28.89 is a potential buy point here. This is PERI. Let's go. Upstart. Pretty popular name. I don't think this is ready quite yet, and it has earnings in 7 days. So we'll cover this pretty quickly. A+ group strength rating, 2 out of 197. In the group, it's 1 on a relative strength, 1 on a composite. Last earnings, it had over 1,000% earnings per share growth, over 1,000% sales, 30% after-tax profit margin. Again, earnings in 7 days. 99 relative strength, 99 composite overall. Jumping to the chart, we have, I need to go here. I got stopped out when we broke under here, and then I put the trade back on as we broke over the high here, and then got stopped out again. Still made money on the trade because of the nice entry point down here. Since then, buyers have stepped in, but they were in like no man's land, so I didn't really find an entry point through there. Just wanted to give it a little bit of room. I mean, after, what was this run? 264%. Maybe it needs a little bit more time to base out, especially into earnings. It is just such a powerful name that if it does get going, it can run enough in 7 days to hold at least some piece into earnings. But I would like to see this base out a little bit more, but on the list. And last from my list is ZIM, which is kind of like a forgotten stock that finally started working again. It's in transportation and shipping. I think it's a shipping stock. Group strength right now, B. It used to be one of the strongest groups, so maybe if that group starts getting back in favor, this was the leading stock in the group. Got a relative strength rating of 1 out of 27 in the group, 2 on a composite basis, 99 relative strength, 97 composite. Earnings, look at this. Earnings the last 4 quarters, year over year, all over 1,000%. Sales, plus 20, plus 64, plus 112, plus 200. We have acceleration of sales. After-tax profit margins, 14, 26, 33, 37. Acceleration of after-tax profit margin. Fund ownership on this has been increasing, 29, 62, 71. And we did get a little bit of gap here. So let me jump to this. This is a stock that I have in like my longer term portfolio, but I'm looking to trade it now. It was almost on my breakout watch list. It was like the 11th stock out of the 10 that I put on, just because it was just right over its 50-day simple moving average. And I only want to trade stocks that are above their 50-day. We gapped up on Monday, pushed higher, and then it did give us an entry to trade against that today. Let's take a look at the 10-minute chart. Oh man. Yeah, look at that. Bounce, put in a low, tightened up. Kind of kicking myself about that. That's a nice entry point. I need to have some alerts set. But again, you can't trade everything. I keep going back and forth. And my big weakness right now, what I'm realizing, or at this stage of my trading career, is I overtrade. So I should be mad I didn't see the pullback, but I shouldn't be mad that I didn't trade it because I traded enough for today. That was detrimental to my account. I need to do better at that. But this is holding up well after gapping up. We undercut the low, but we never closed the gap here. So buyers stepped in at that point 10 minutes into the day and then pushed it higher the rest of the day. If we can get some sideways action, that improves the trade. Just to break over yesterday's high, 54.65 as a potential buy point. All right, those are the stocks that I wanted to cover. Let's check the comments. BRKS. Yeah, that's awesome. Let's see. Earnings unconfirmed on the 9th. 58%. Nice clean uptrend. Am I buying at this point? No, but are you continuing to ride that trend? Absolutely. If it pulls back a little bit, maybe that gives you a better entry point. I don't know if that earnings is correct. Let me check on here. RKS. Earnings next week. Yeah, you said that. Okay. 94 relative strength, 99 composite rating. Super strong. Lighter traded, under 1 million shares, about 600,000 a day. A- accumulation distribution, B+, group strength, 96 earnings per share. Fund ownership dipped a little bit, but I bet they bought it back. Let's see. Yeah. Because they took the screenshot of September's at the beginning of September, and then we got this huge volume day. Chances are funds started flowing back into this. I want to say I have this on like a general watch list that I have, but I am going to write this down. Thanks, Joe. Let's see. CGNX. Ooh, beautiful move today. Earnings in 2 days on this. A- group strength, B- accumulation distribution, 91 composite, 60 on the relative strength, but it is starting to turn up here. 8 out of 13, 5 out of 13. Fund ownership gently increasing, pretty strong. Let's take a look at that chart. What is it? CGNX. Yeah. If you follow Oliver Kell on Twitter, here's a wick play right here. We opened up just a little bit. We never went under the previous day's close. We stayed in that upper wick, and then we pushed through. So that could have been an entry point there. I mean, this did give a couple entry points going into it. I like it. All right, let's see what else you got. SWKS. Earnings as well coming up here. Yeah, under the 50-day, under the 200-day. I'm not personally interested in it. I just, as a swing trader, because when you get under these moving averages, these longer-term moving averages, it just shows you that there's a group of people that are typically trapped at these higher prices. If they don't use stops, if they don't manage risk, or if they're in for the long term, then once you get back up to their price, you have the people that are down here that moved up, they're up 20%, they might be taking profit. The people at this area that got stuck here, watch their stock go down 20% and now can take it off for break even. So it does create kind of turbulent zones that I would like to avoid. But with earnings here, if this has strong earnings, we get a power earnings gap, then it becomes tradable, get a change in characteristic, something like that. So we'll keep an eye on that. SWKS, earnings after market close on the 4th. Toast. 14%. Oh man, nice move today. Let me jump to MarketSmith to take a look at what they do. B+ group strength. Let's see. Provides technology, restaurant management platforms, hardware, software solutions for the restaurant sector. Yeah, earnings in 7 days. Oh man, beautiful, beautiful move here on good volume. Good volume on the first IPO day, pulled back, tightened up, and broke out. Jason, awesome trade. Change of characteristic, yeah, that terminology is starting to get hot on Twitter, and I love it because that's kind of what happened with Coinbase too, right? If you find the change in characteristics, you get the big volume coming in on the right side of the base, that especially in a favorable market. Because if the market's not favorable, when stocks do get those high volume breakouts, chances are people are selling those down because they have losses elsewhere that they need to kind of smooth out for the day, for the week, month, whatever. But when the market's hot, IWM starting to break out, Tesla's up to new highs, S&P 500, QQQ's up to new highs. When you get a changing characteristic on big volume and a favorable market, we're aligning more probability, right? That's what I always say. As traders, we're just aligning as much probability on our side, and then we're managing risk against that. And that's exactly what you did. Great trade, Jason. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let's see. Try tried adding this morning, but it was too extended. Other than that, I've been struggling to get into names. Lucky you caught coin. Yeah, nice. ME. Let's see. 23andMe. Maybe it is just me, no pun intended. Is this just a fad? Like, are people just into this for a year or two and then it's not very exciting? I don't know. It's not super exciting to me, but it's got A+ accumulation distribution lately. Good volume coming up the right side of the base. We undercut the low there. Changing characteristic, probably. Earnings in 8 days. Fund ownership. See, we went 35, 40, 19, 20. Maybe funds are starting to pour in here. I don't like when stocks don't have any sales to report. I guess maybe they didn't have it last year or something. Don't quite know. Let's take a look at the chart. ME, come on. $65% up, pulled back a little bit, tightened up. Riding that 8-day exponential moving average. This is only like the second time that I'm looking at the chart, so I'm just kind of going through some checks here. When did people start getting involved? This candle, we pulled back and then broke through. What's the average volume on this? 2 million? Let me write this one down too. All right. Yeah, I don't have too much to say about this. With earnings that close, and it already, like it just ran up, what is it, 67% off the lows. Is some of that earnings priced in? Maybe. But if you can find, let's do like the 10-day chart, drill in, do like 15-minute candles. Yeah, you could have a 3% stop there, breakout over this high, put it under the low there. A way to manage risk against it. I don't know if I'm going to personally trade it. I do like that shakeout though. Shakeout, reset, tightening up. Yeah, I'm definitely writing this one down. Thanks for bringing this up. I got to do a little bit more research in this, but yeah, thank you for bringing it up. LC, yeah, LC is one that I am trying to find a way in, right? See, this was so weird. It was down 8% the day before earnings, like someone knew something and was selling everything off. And then from the close, it was up 34%, pushed as high as 42%, had a follow through day, or followed through the next day. Same with the third day. And just today, we pulled back a little bit. But even the low here, 6.8% from the 8-day, a little extended, super light volume. No one's selling this off. Man, LC, such a strong stock. Is that volume right? It's a little bit weaker, but yeah. If this can flag out in 2 weeks or something like that, definitely going to be a name that I am going to be focusing on. LC here. It was a name that I traded a couple times, like through this range, bought, got stopped out on the piece, bought through here, stopped out. I don't think I took another trade. No, I missed this one because this was the 14th. Where's the 14th? See, this was making new highs as the market was getting the follow through day. So here's 1014 right here. We make a new high, and then going to the QQQ on 1014, that's our follow. No. Yeah, that's our follow through day here. So that's showing relative strength against the market. That's what you look for in market leaders. Awesome stock. Just got to find a way in it once it consolidates a little bit. Yeah, I love the day that LC had, even though it was red. Red days aren't necessarily bad. Like after you had a 40% move, some people are going to be taking profits, right? And you probably should take a little bit. I mean, depending on your strategy, like I can't say what you should or shouldn't do. But for me, 40% profit, I'm taking some off. I'm booking some profit. All right, let's take a look at FFIE. Got about 10 minutes left, so if you guys have any charts that you want to see, drop them in the chat, and we'll get to them in the last 10 minutes here. Strong group just because of Tesla. Relative strength of 6, pretty low here, under the 200-day, under the 50-day. Just not something that I want to be trading. Fund ownership starting to tick up a little bit in September. Yeah, this does not look like a stock that I would personally trade. Doesn't mean it can't work, but I look for stocks with clear skies when we can get them, right? We got two cardinals in the chat right now. Let's see. What else did you get? FFIE. Yeah, let's jump to the chart. Cards fly together. All right, we got, yeah, see, under the 50-day, under the 200-day, a lot of people trapped at these higher prices. Even when we start to make the right side of the base here, it's going to be a choppy environment. So not something that I would personally trade. SONO. Getting there. Nice gap up. Held that move today. We're right at the 50-day, and that's declining. Let's get over the 50-day. Let's get over the 200-day. And then we'll take a look at it. Let's see. If you look at the previous 3 days, it closed at the bottom of its range. Hey Jason, what stock were you talking about? Was that LC? No, Toast. You were talking about Toast that closed in the last 3 days at the bottom of the range. Yeah, squatted, and then finally got out. Yeah, see, when something like that happens, like you're basically exhausting the sellers out. So it moved up, the people that wanted to get out got out. It moved up a little bit, they took more off. Moved up a little bit, took more off, and then finally it breaks out. But those squats are kind of a warning sign for me. But glad it worked out for you. Volume wasn't great, so I didn't get a full position. Yeah, that's fine. You gotta manage your risk there. BKKT. Is this crypto related? I want to say it is. Digital asset ecosystem. Buzzword. Group strength rating A, accumulation distribution B+, relative strength 99, obviously massive. Earnings on the 12th, so keep that in mind. Or is that an estimate? Check the website, see when their earnings are. Fund ownership starting to increase a little bit, probably a ton lately here. Let's go to the chart here. BKKT. Oh, I'm on the chart. Yeah, so let's definitely drill down. Yeah, if you're trading on a lower time frame, this broke out on heavy volume, consolidated, gave you a nice entry point here, and then, I mean, what was that move? 111%, geez. What a powerful name here. Based out, huge base out. After 100% move, or, I mean, what was this? 400% move, you'd expect a base like this to set up. Then you have your VCP set up, but on a smaller time frame. 45% high to low, 22% high to low, 9% high to low, and 6%. So each pullback, volume lightened up, then we bounced on heavier volume, pulled back again, volume got nice and quiet, pushed out on heavier volume got nice and quiet again, and then boom. That would have been an ideal entry point. Even if you missed this move, that's a 50% move that you can manage risk against. Let's see, 3% stop on a stock that has the potential to run 100%. So that would have been definitely a nice trade. Pulled back a little bit. Again, pushed out on heavy volume. This sold off on light volume, got out, and then someone did sell this on heavier volume down a little bit today. So similar to how we based out here, maybe we can do so at a higher level. Give that a little bit more time, maybe a couple days. Let's see. let me do like, yeah, 60 minutes here. So see how the initial push was 54%, so you could have made money there. But the really nice entry point that you can manage risk against was after it pushed out, pulled back, and then tightened up like that, and then broke out. And then you can keep your, then you can keep your risk pretty tight there. So I'm gonna let this probably go, come back, tighten up. I'll set some alerts on this, BKKT. Thanks for pointing this out, Ryan. Thoughts on the Fed tomorrow? I don't try to plan too much around that. I have my stops in place in my positions. Until they say they're raising rates, until they say they're easing off, I am more likely to just keep my positions on. Because before I would always tinker, like again, I'm a chronic overtrader. So for me, it'd be better to undertrade and get hit a little bit, get my stops hit, than try to tinker around the Fed. If they say, hey, we're raising rates, we're tightening everything up, then yeah, stops are going to get hit. I'm going to get rolled out of positions. And that's a way to take off exposure, and then maybe the market pulls back, whatever. But if they don't say anything, I want to keep the exposure on. But every day I go in before the market opens, I check my stops, make sure all my shares have stops set. All those stops are at places that I want them to be. And then we roll the dice. Trading is, I hate when people say like trading is gambling. Like gambling itself is a bad thing. Of course it's gambling. Like you're gambling your money. But the thing with trading is you can use a stop loss, you can manage risk, and you can manage risk in gambling as well. But the difference is if you do trading the right way, you can have the edge, where unless you're playing blackjack and counting cards, you're not going to have the edge against the casino. So I would rather gamble in the stock market with tight stops and in a strong environment like we're in right now. But I kind of went on a tangent there. I'm not going to do too much with my positions around the Fed, maybe tighten up some stops. And last, we'll end it with SD. I had this on my general watch list, but they do have earnings. I think that's unconfirmed. And I went to the website and I couldn't find any earnings detail on there. But I know a bunch of oil stocks or oil and energy stocks are reporting today or tomorrow or the next day. So because I couldn't find the earnings, and I don't know, E-Trade said this, I'm not going to trade around it going into earnings, but a bunch of oil stocks are setting up to break out again. So something that I want to keep an eye on once we get through that earning period. All right, that's going to be the live stream. Thank you guys so much for showing up, especially the cards we got in the chat. Cards fly together. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you guys on Sunday for the breakout watch list.